Moved by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that we do call this regular meeting of council to order on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 at 6 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Councillor Stefanik for Indigenous land acknowledgement.
Thank you. The Council of Corporation and Township of Hornepayne would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the land on which we gather here today is the Treaty 9, 1905 to 1906 territory, the traditional lands of Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect and on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stefanik. So moving on to item number 3 is the review and note any changes to our agenda. There are two, an added item and an amended item you can see there to set a special meeting for council, and then a recommendation for donation where the expense would come from. And if I can get a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as amended. So moved by Councillor Drago Stefanik, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby approve the agenda as amended. Those in favor?
Aye.
That is carried. None opposed. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Declaration of conflict of interest. Council, of course, you can do that now or at any time throughout the meeting. I don't have any paperwork as of such, so I'm going to move on. Item number 6 is the adoption of the minutes for a regular meeting of council on October 4th. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, as distributed. Any comment on the minutes? And those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. And we have an adoption of regular council meeting for October 18th. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, as distributed. Any comment on the minutes? There being none, I put it to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. Item number 7, business arising from the minutes. We'll continue on. Item 8 is the manager's reports. Before we get into manager's reports, if we can put the motion on the floor, please. If I can get a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Drago Stefanik, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the manager's reports provided at the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. And the first report is Deputy CAO Clerk. And Eileen, do you have any additions to your or comments to your report before I open it up for questions from council?
Yes, I actually had something I wanted to add to my report in regards to the municipal energy plan. So I just wanted to advise that we had the public engagement session on October 18th, and from there, the consultants will be finalizing a draft of the report for council's input and final review, which should be put on for the next regular council meeting for November 30th.
Okay, thank you for that. And I open up the floor for question or comment from council for the CAO or Deputy CAO. I just want to expand on page 2 of the report, talking about the Hallmark Center and our meeting that we had, which was really well received. And you can read about that here in the report. I did ask Gail and Eileen to coordinate the applicable staff for a roundtable discussion prior to our next council meeting. And this will be on the November 30th for a brief discussion for steps forward. And we have scheduled a meeting for November the 21st, I believe is the date. It's the Monday. for this brief meeting of staff with myself. And I've also asked staff to include Councillor Belinda Kistemaker involved in this, because she's been dealing with the Hallmark Center for quite some time and has quite a bit of knowledge there. And then we'll have a further discussion of all of council table on November 30th. I was pretty excited to hear about that. Really what the crux of the matter is that they want us to focus on what we would put there, what is going to be the end result, not just tearing the building down, but focusing on that and having that motivation of what would actually be in that area of our community after it's demolished or changed up, what that would look like. So it was a very exciting meeting, and you can see in the report too that they encouraged us to take ownership of that building, which we've never really been told before. So Gail and Eileen and I discussed that briefly after, or Gail and I did, sorry, about just that we had never really heard that before. We had always been advised not to take ownership of it. Any other questions from council or concerns or comments? Councillor Drago Stefanik, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. I thought one of the reasons for municipality not to take over the Hallmark facility was the massive liability that we'll assume as a municipality ourselves. I think if I go back now, I'm going back 8 years, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And that was a major stumbling block that I recall very clearly. I'm not sure what has changed since then, but that was in discussions for the last 8 years, Madam Mayor.
Yes, yeah, and it was interesting when that discussion, we were talking about that, the liability, and we have been carrying liability insurance on that facility. So it's, yeah, so it's not, it doesn't seem to be a direct, there shouldn't be a direct increase to anything because we're already paying liability for the property, so. Which was interesting, but it was a good direction, and there seemed like there was a step-by-step plan, but as far as developing into the future, it would need something sustainable, especially if it was an economic driver. So anyway, that'll come on the 30th. And I just wanted to also highlight from Eileen's report is the public consultation that's happening on November 3rd for the arena from 5 to 8 at the Royal Canadian Legion, and that people can attend that in person and see the options that are available for the arena expansion. And this is a good time for, like, I'd like to see as many people out to see what's happening there as well. And for your input. Okay, if there's no further comments from council, okay, I'm just going to wrap it up with one final comment. I want to thank Councillor Belinda Kistemaker and the staff for attending the ribbon cutting at the airport, and those, of course, that couldn't come. We missed your presence, and we have to say it was a really good attendance by the schools and support of our community. I want to thank everyone that was in the background coordinating this event. It was it went off beautifully. The kids did a countdown from 10 to 1 for the ribbon cutting, and it was pretty exciting. And I really do hope that this is the era of ribbon cutting for Hornepayne. And I have to hats off to Donna McGinnis for the cake and the cupcakes. They were absolutely delicious, and we were able to distribute some more amongst the community. So it was just a really good time all around. And thank you to Brenda Weisblock. She was in attendance for the hospital on their behalf and said some words as well. And overall, it was well attended, and I think it was a really good experience for us all. It was my first ribbon cutting amongst many of those young children that were there. So it was a happy day. Okay, so with that, we'll move on. Thank you, Eileen. To our Client Service Manager Treasurer's report. And my understanding is that our treasurer is traveling today, so any questions would be through you, and we'll get answers later if there was anything. Or is she in attendance tonight as well?
No, sorry, I was going to mention Mayor Fort that she's not in attendance tonight. So I will try my best to answer any questions directed my way.
Okay, great. Okay, so I open up the floor for question or comment for the treasurer's report. Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed in her comments that we're gonna have a special meeting set for water and sewer rates for November 22nd. That's a new date for inaugural meeting November 15th. November 22nd will be the special meeting, and then we have another meeting after that as well. Okay, thank you.
I think we're gonna have to have a discussion about that. In our agenda meeting today with Eileen and I can't make the November 22nd meeting, so we're going to have to pick another date. Just for the report, whatever comes out from the further study that they did. As council's aware, I'm at the NPI conference the week before that meeting, and then I'm at Good Roads during that time. Actually, November 22nd, we actually have Advocacy Day at Queen's Park. And I just know for myself, I wouldn't have time to read the document ahead of the meeting. So I would like us to change it and have a different date.
What I was going to suggest, Mayor, we have a regular meeting set for November 30th, Wednesday. I think we could leave an hour for that discussion. I think we discussed it quite thoroughly, and I was going to suggest, I'm not sure if the 22nd is a good date for me as well. So I would suggest to tack it on to November 30th and get all the business done as efficiently as possible. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure if there was, Eileen, was there a reason why we were putting a special meeting? Is the October or the November 30th quite full already?
I'm not certain why it was set for the 22nd, but I think it would be okay to go on the November 30th agenda as of right now.
Okay, and what we can do too, I think in this regard, if council is okay with this direction, is we have our inaugural meeting on the 15th. And if there's an overload of that 30th meeting and we do need to set a special meeting date, we can discuss it at that time. And maybe a memo could go out with the dates that we're looking at. I know there is they do want this wrapped up by the end of this year. I'm not sure. I think it has to do with our budgeting process. So.
Yes, I believe that's correct, Mayor Fort.
Okay, great. So if that sits well with council, we can have that direction. So when we get to that motion, we can defer the motion, revisit it on the 15th. And if it can fit into the 30th meeting, we'll place it there. Do I have consensus on that?
I'm good with that.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I want to congratulate the township staff on the successful application. And we had to look back quite a ways. Council, I'm not sure if you remember, it was February 2021 that we gave direction to apply for the Amp It Up asset management program and agreed to spending the $5,555 of our portion for this. I had to think back. I barely remembered it, but this is exciting that we were approved and it's a significant portion of funding. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments on Melissa's report, we'll move on. Moving on to our Public Works Manager's report. And Dwayne, do you have any comment or additions to your report before I open up the floor for question or comment?
No, I'm ready to take questions if you have any.
Okay, great. I'll open up the floor for question or comment from council. Councilor Drago Stefanik, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mayor, through you. Dwayne, can you please expand on the vehicles challenges that you have? Just be a little more thorough, and it looks pretty bleak from your report for both of the vehicles. Can you give more insight into that, please?
The garbage truck has already been changed. Steve's already purchased a new garbage truck. What's happening is they've changed the analyzing equipment at all the garages, and they tightened up the tolerances a lot more. So that's, I don't know if it's going to pass. It's going Thursday. I've tried everything I possibly can do to try to ensure it passes, but we did have trouble the first time, and the second time was computer problems. But so I'm just trying to give you guys a heads up that possibly it might not pass. We are doing everything we can to the truck tomorrow to ensure that we're all the best we can do.
So follow up through the mayor to you, the worst case scenario doesn't pass, we have a problem then, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was, just to follow up that, or go ahead, Councillor Caraff, go ahead.
Sorry, thank you, Mayor. I was just gonna ask, the municipality owns the dump truck, and what is the replacement cost on that? Do you have an idea roughly?
Yeah. Do you want new, or do you want? We'll probably go with the used system. But new is like over 200,000, but I think I'd probably get something around the 100,000, no problem.
That's good, thanks.
Okay, I guess we'll end up with a fulsome report on a purchasing dump truck or a one, because I'd like to see both. I'm just looking at the years of this, is I think this comes back into our asset management planning and getting ahead of the game. Because when we look at 1996, we're over 30, it's coming on to 40 years old, right? In 2026. So we're coming on to 30 years old, sorry. And to me, I'm just wondering what would be the lifespan of that type of piece of equipment realistically. So those are some of the questions I would have in the report. And Councillor Kistermaker, go ahead. Peter.
Yeah, Dwayne, so we were talking about this earlier today. The Freightliner that we got in 1996, have they changed the emission laws so they haven't grandfathered it in? Because back in the day, it was 1996 was the year it was made. That was the year of the, they had emission requirements for that. Have they stopped grandfathering it in? Is that what's going on?
That is correct. And there's very little emissions on that truck, so it's not like I can change a canister or anything like that to make it through. The options are very slim what I can do.
Okay, so yeah, so Madam Mayor, as of that's one thing I do. I am comfortable. I got a lot of knowledge in trucking and trucks and whatnot, and that's a tough barrier to overcome. So if they're having a problem, if they do happen to manage to possibly pass the emissions this time, they won't next time. So it's a ticking. We have to. The government was talking about tightening up the rules and not grandfathering old trucks in. So if that's the case, we will have to look for a new truck soon. And I would suggest looking at a tandem as Dwayne was looking in the past.
Yeah, I'm all for it, Dwayne. I think the direction you're going to receive right now from council is that we need a fulsome report on that. And when we look at, and I'd like to see us encompass other factors of other vehicles of what is going to be coming forward. I know we've talked about this in the past about having longer financial planning out, is because we end up, and we've had this situation in the past before where we're buying equipment like this and we don't know that it's coming. And I just don't want to, we have a very tight margin. Now our community so far is in a healthy stance with this, but you're only allowed so much borrowing limit for your payments as a municipality. And we got to ensure that we can cover everything that's coming into the future and those unforeseens as well. So, and you know yourself, at the Public Works Department, we have other issues like our garage. There's other things that are coming as well. So we have to factor all of that in as well when we're looking at the financing of it all. And I'm totally in agreement with you, Peter, because if it passes, it has to be tested every year, Dwayne, is what I'm getting from this report. So even if it passes this year, we have to have something by next year. Because we'll be going through this.
Definitely a plan in place for sure.
Okay. Any other comment or question from council on that concern specifically? Any thoughts that you'd have that you would want to see, ensure that it's in the report? Okay, I'll leave that. I do have a couple of comments. I want to say congratulations and shout out to your staff, Dwayne, of the arena surface. I went and checked out the ice surface today. Looks great. I have to say too, the arena looked impeccable up there. Everything was clean. The mats were all nice. Like, it was just so organized. And I got to meet with some of the young second year hockey kids that were going up there, and it was nice to see their smiling faces all in gear and everything. But I really have to say that the ice, the whole arena area looked so good, and hats off to the hard work that's done up there to make that happen. And the other, this was something that I've noticed, and I drove by it again tonight, and I know they're going to be doing more work on that crossing. We need to come up with some sort of plan. There was just huge slag pieces on our roadway. And I was concerned for my own vehicle, but for other people. And then we were rerouting our whole community and whoever was coming through our town over top of that spot. I'm just wondering if there's, like, when this road work's being done, like, we have to sweep it off. I'm not putting that on us. I think that would be the contractors that are doing the work. But it was noticeable. And tonight when I drove by, there's still pieces on that. I think it's Marathon and Leslie where they meet there right on the north side of the crossing. Are you familiar with where I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just concerned that, and Eileen and I spoke briefly about it today, is when work like that is happening in our community, if something was to happen to someone's vehicle, where would the liability fall, or something to that effect? Because they were quite huge chunks. Like, they shouldn't be on the roadway.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have a discussion with Jack.
Okay, great. And that's all my comments. Thank you so much. And and I have to say, thank you for the tour of the Pavilion Park. If council hasn't been up to see the Pavilion Park, you need to go check it out. I didn't get to see the all the equipment that got installed on the cement pads, but the cement pads were laid when I was there. I did see they're installed though. I was walking by earlier today and saw that they were installed. It looks great. So
Thanks, I'll pass it on.
okay. Okay, if there's nothing further from council, then we'll continue on. I don't see anything. Thank you, Dwayne. If I can get a mover and a seconder to pass the receipt of the reports, those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. Okay, so our 8.2 is setting a special meeting for the presentation. So if council is in agreement, we'll defer that to the inaugural meeting. Okay, all those in favor of deferring?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, correspondence action items. 9.1 is invitation to the Royal Canadian Legion Branch Remembrance Day ceremony. And I know that the staff has been reaching out, I think, in order of my representation. Unfortunately, I work that day and cannot take the day off because I'm taking the next week off to represent our community elsewhere. So I'm not sure, Eileen, were you able to secure one of the council members that was going to represent our community?
Sorry, Mayor Ford, I'll get back to your to the sorry, we're talking about 9.2, right? For 8.2, I just wanted to go back. I believe we need a mover and a seconder to defer.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, and just a second. Can I get a mover and a seconder?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby set a special meeting of Council Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022 at 6 p.m. in a virtual meeting room for the purposes outlined below. A presentation by Watson and Associate, Gary Scadlin, Managing Partner and Director, and Navreet Bain, Consultant regarding the 2022 water and wastewater rates. And we're looking to defer that. And those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for keeping me on track there, Eileen. So we're back to 9.1 about the Remembrance Day ceremony. So all of council is invited. You see the invitation there. I hope people can attend. And I'm not sure if we have found someone to replace me at the Remembrance Day service yet, but oh, go ahead, Eileen.
Yes, I can confirm that Councillor Belinda Kistemaker is going to attend.
Okay, perfect.
And, yeah.
Belinda. Okay, so if there's nothing further on that, we'll move on to 9.2, the Santa Claus Christmas party. If I can get a mover and a seconder, and then we'll open the floor for discussion. Moved by Councillor Drago-Stefanik, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby agree to donate a certain amount of dollars to be expensed from to the 2022 Santa Claus Christmas party to be held on December 11th, 2022. And I did ask Eileen to look into the historic amounts that we've given in the past.
So I can let council know that the past donations for this Santa Claus Christmas party in 2021 and 2020, there was none just because it didn't occur due to COVID. And then in 2019, it was $1,000, which was from the municipal operating budget. And then 2018 was 2018 and 2017 was 1,000 from the NWMO Community Wellbeing Reserve. Sorry, 2018 was from there and 2017 was from the NWMO funding. As per the treasurer, she recommends taking the money from the NWMO Community Wellbeing Reserve, just because there's about 11,646 available in that reserve. And if you do go this route, it'll have to be addressed on the resolution.
Okay, and the other option is there another option? Or that's the recommendation?
That was her recommendation.
Okay, if council's good with continuing $1,000 donation and taking it from the NWMO Community Reserve?
Yes.
Everyone's okay? We're in agreement? Okay, so
Absolutely.
okay, so within the resolution where the donate $1,000 will be inserted to be expensed from the NWMO Community Reserve. On the resolution, those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. Okay, we have 9.3 is a support resolution for childcare for the municipality of East Paris. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor John Paroff, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Whereas the township has received correspondence from the municipality of East Paris regarding the early years and childcare workforce shortage in Ontario, and whereas this shortage risks preventing parents from returning to or entering the workforce, thus putting a strain on families and hindering economic participation, and requiring parents to remain at home to care for their children. And whereas, although Ontario has signed the Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Agreement, an immediate solution for attracting and retaining childcare staff has not been identified, and the wage disparity will take many years to correct. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby support the municipality of East Ferris's request for the provincial government to provide immediate solutions to early years and childcare workforce shortage in Ontario. Be it further resolved that this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Stephen Lecce, Minister of Education, and the Honourable Vic Fideli, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, Ontario Municipal Social Services Association, Ontario Coalition for Better Childcare, Childcare Resource and Research Unit, Northern Ontario Service Deliverers Association, Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, with a copy forwarded to the municipality of East Ferris. Any comment on the motion? I only had one comment, was it didn't really give a solution. And the other comment was, did East Ferris forward all of this to the upper levels of Phenom and AMO and that sort of thing? And why I asked that, Eileen, is just I don't want to do their work for us, for them. I do see that they already submitted to AMO and to the DSABs.
Sorry, Mayor, for it. Just give me. So they did provide solutions, but we just tried to make this resolution not as long. So we took the key portions of it.
Okay, great. As long as I'm seeing the original resolution and we're in support of it, and there are solutions in that. It's just ours didn't have any solutions in it. Okay. If there's no further questions or comments on that, I'll put it to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. None opposed. Okay, 9.4 is the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, 43rd Parliament, and I believe this is on the agenda for discussion. Eileen, I'll open the floor for you.
Yes, correct. So these are just discussion pieces for council. For 9.5, it's for council to put in comments if they want to.
Okay. So 9.4, you can see the letter there from Minister Clark, just inviting people to comment and conversations and through the senior manager. 9.5 is the Ministry of Energy. And there's proposed amendments. I would like to address council's attention to, in our information only package, there is some information there on what's happening in energy, and that they are looking for further providers of energy and even energy storage. I thought it was pretty interesting that there might be areas of expansion for our community, which we've in the past haven't seen. So Eileen, for 9.4, are you looking for council to submit on their own, or are we looking as a council to submit together for the comments?
I believe it would be on your own for comments.
Okay. So that's there for council and your information, and you can submit comments. And if there's no further discussion from council, we'll move on. Okay, moving on to correspondence, information only. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Drago Stefanik, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the correspondence information only package attached to the agenda of the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. Any discussion on the items in the information only package? The energy portion I was referring to is 10.7, increasing electricity and generation and storage resources. And one comment I did want to make, I don't know why I never noticed this before, but when we're looking at the news from Ontario News website, I think the energy one is one of those. Doesn't give a date for it. I'm just wondering, when we place it on the agenda, if we can put the date and include the date with it. And it's just the Ontario News ones that come from newsontario.ca.
Sure. Yes, Mayor Fort, we can do that moving forward.
Okay, great. Okay, so any comments or discussion items and information only? Okay, there being none, I put the vote of acknowledge receipt of the package to a vote. Those in favor?
All right.
And that is carried. And moving on to 11, committee board updates, public library board meeting minutes. If I can get a mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Belinda Kissamaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the minutes from the Hornepayne Public Library Board meeting held on September 21st, 2022. Any comment on the minutes? I have one comment. I want to congratulate the board. I thought it was pretty interesting that we have decodable books at our small library for helping people with dyslexia in our community. I thought that was pretty impressive. And it looks like we have Michelle Filardo hired as the permanent full-time, or sorry, part-time permanent position. So congratulations to Michelle on that. No further comments. I put it to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is opposed. 11.2 is council committee updates. And if we can do a round table. Councillor Grego Stefanik.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mayor. Very quick. I was at a PHU meeting in Timmins, and it looks like there's a strong possibility the mask mandate will become in effect again in the near future. All the emergency departments, Southern Ontario, are full of respiratory diseases, not all being COVID, but it's COVID related. And we'll be getting a close contact with PHU to see what the development is. It doesn't look very promising. The opioids are, in North East Ontario, are higher than ever again. New ejection site was opened in Timmins within the last 3 months. It's helping to some degree. Obviously, there's people for it and against it, but I'm not going to get into the issues, but it's assisting some people for staying alive. And on the library front, I'd like to thank Darnell and staff for doing trunk or treat. They did a wonderful job. They had a massive attendance last night from the businesses, groups, associations, and it was jam-packed, and I congratulate and commend the staff. And the other thing, interesting thing, and we're talking about the arena, this is a comment. A new electric Zamboni, talking about vehicles, that's the reason I mentioned this. I've waited for this. A new electric Zamboni right now is $160,000. And it takes 12 to 14 months, because the mayor said we should be planning ahead. It takes 12 to 14 months to get the product into your arena. So something that doesn't happen before you could buy it, a month later it's here. So something to think about. And the interesting part, the Zamboni's $160,000 in Hearst. They purchased one, and Pepco company sponsored it for $130,000. It was La North paper last week. Just so everybody knows we're on the same page here. So somebody could approach, I guess, to assist us. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Stefanik. Interesting. Councillor John Paroff.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Not a whole lot has been going on for the Hornepayne Housing Corp. We're still tying up some loose ends, and our new administrator is doing well. She's just getting her feet wet again. The Nagagami Forest LCC meeting is actually tonight at the Legion. It's ongoing right now, I imagine. So we missed it tonight, but they're aware of it. Other than that, that's about all I have for a report.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Paroff. And is that just a regular LCC meeting, or was there a consultation? Like, is it open for till a certain time tonight?
They're having a presentation by First Resources on forestry. And I'm not sure what time it's actually going to finish tonight.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, Councillor Peter Kistemaker.
I have nothing to add at this time there, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Belinda Kistemaker.
I don't have anything to add, except that the cutting of the ribbon and having the children around was entertaining and fun. I was glad to be part of it.
Right on, right on. From my perspective at meetings, I did participate in the hospital board accreditation process. It was really well done. I give a shout out to the hospital board staff for preparing the board and ensuring we had all the documents for that. It's quite a process. And we also, unfortunately, I was double booked for our last board meeting, so I didn't make the last board meeting. But I look forward to serving on the board and seeing what other committees, as we change over in the next month, change over different committees. I do want to take a few moments to thank our current council, as this is our last meeting of council for this term. And we are seeing changes in Councillor John Paroff leaving us. And I want to thank you for your time, Councillor Paroff, serving the community of Hornepayne, and the multiple conferences and different items that you've taken from your personal time to dedicate to our township. And I know for myself, there was different times at conferences. One comes to mind where I relied on you quite heavily for forestry knowledge and ensuring that we were putting our best foot forward. And I think we made inroads there with certain people at OFIA and Ian Dunn and Jamie Lim at that time. So I applaud you for that, and I thank you for that. And I hope all the best in the future. And we're going to miss you at council table. So thank you for that, John.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. It's been my pleasure to serve for this term.
Okay, well, the door's always open. There's election every 4 years. You're always able to put your name back in the hat.
No problem, thanks.
Okay. And as we change up council on November 15th, it'll be a new council sitting at this table, and we will be starting a new term. So we'll be looking at strategic planning and moving forward. And I want to congratulate us, though, as this council, and I said this at the ribbon cutting and gave a shout out to each of you, that the airport is a perfect example of a start to finish project within a term of council that's a significant impact on our community. And although Councillor Paroff won't be at some of the ceremonies coming ahead, John, you were a part of what's coming for the arena project and for the roads in Hornepayne. Those are part of the successes. But as our new council starts out, it will be us council that will have to bring these things to fruition, and working alongside staff and ensuring that we're not overloading staff. We've accomplished lots, but we need to ensure that we move forward smoothly and that things are getting done in a consistent, effective, timely manner. So thank you all. It's been a pleasure serving with you. Okay, so we're going to move on. I'm kind of feeling a bit sad, you know, that this is it for us. Okay, so moving on is conferences 12.1. So we did have this on our council agenda for the last two meetings, and we ended up not resolving the matter at our last meeting, so it's here again. If I can get a mover and a seconder, and we'll open up for discussion. Moved by Councillor Drago Stefanik, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby approve the expenditures to be incurred by the following to attend the 2023 Rural Ontario Municipal Association Roma Annual General Meeting and Conference, Roma 2023 Breaking Ground, to be held from Sunday, January 22nd to Tuesday, January 4th, 2023 in Toronto, Ontario. And we do have 3 allocation spots there for this conference. And originally, you can remember 2 meetings back, I was not interested in attending. I didn't see what we needed to attend for because we didn't have a delegation. After our meetings with Minister Rickford's staff, they, with the demolition of the mall and that future site of what we're going to do there, they recommended that we do attend a delegation and give regular updates. Yet this is going to be a huge undertaking. So I'm willing to commit to going for that purpose. And I was hoping that we could have someone else come alongside. I was thinking a staff member. Eileen, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I can confirm, Mayor, for that. Stacy, the Economic Development Officer, can attend as well. Stacy Rendell.
Great. And is there anyone else on council at this time? Okay, and then we are, I'm not sure, Eileen, you'll have to double check if we do need a resolution for the delegation package. I don't think we do. I think of council, but if you do need one, we can have that. We can put that in at the inaugural meeting.
I will check, Mayor, for it to see if we need that.
Okay, great. So we're inserted Mayor Cheryl Fort, and number 2 is Economic Development Officer Stacy Randell, and I put that to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on, we have 13.1. We have bylaws that we've looked at and have on the agenda now. The first one is the surveillance system policy. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Drago Stefanik, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1961, being a bylaw to establish a surveillance system policy for the Township of Hornepayne, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Any further discussion on the bylaw? And I put that to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. Number 13.2 is a bylaw for livable cities, memorandum of understanding. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, second by Councillor
I'll second it.
Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1962, being a bylaw to enter into a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with LED Roadway Lighting Limited, Livable Cities, for the Smart City Pilot Project, be hereby read a first and second time, be considered read a third time, and finally passed. Any further discussion on the bylaw? Okay, there being none, I put this to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. 19, sorry. Apparently I'm adding agenda items. 13.3, bylaw for the repeal of COVID-19 vaccination policy. We had a discussion at a previous meeting, and we had agreed to bring it to a repeal. So I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor John Paroff, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1963, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 1905, COVID-19 vaccination policy, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Any further discussion on the bylaw? Okay, there being none, I put that to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. Okay, so council, it is time and we're moving along quite quickly, so I'm not going to have a break period. If we can go right into our closed session and go to that link once we open it. If I can get a mover in a sec. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Yeah, I have a point of clarification. I was going to bring you my report. I have stated in my Bible here that there's a council training virtual on November 10th. I received an email about a month and a half ago. Is that still happening? Because I have to know that. And it said mandatory. So I'm not sure if Eileen is on top of that. It was sent out by Gail. So I have this written down. It was quite a while ago I received this. So I'm not sure what the status is. It's really important that I know if it's going or not going. Thank you.
Hi, Councillor Stefanik. It's still going ahead, and I'm actually just waiting. I think this is the one with George Cuff, and I'm waiting for an agenda from him, so I can confirm it's still going ahead.
And it is still mandatory, correct? So all members of council must be present. Is that correct? That's where it said mandatory right on there.
If that is what Gail sent out,
That's what
then
that's what
yeah,
the email stated. Okay, I just want to be clear on that. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Stefanik. And could we get an update on that, Eileen, for November the 10th? So that would be the Thursday.
sure. Yeah, I can send out an email.
Okay, because I don't have it in my agenda. So I'm wondering if it was for councillors or all of council and what was mandatory. So I've definitely
Okay.
missed. Okay.
I will send out an update. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you, Councillor Stefanik, for bringing that to our attention. Okay, if I can get a mover and a seconder for the closed session, moved by Councillor
I will.
Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting at 6:50 p.m. be closed to the public in order to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, pursuant of section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, council, you do have your closed session link. We'll meet there. Belinda Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby return to open council at 7:22 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, none opposed. 16, business arising from the closed session. There is nothing further to report at this time. Item number 17, adjournment. 17.1, a bylaw, the confirmatory. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1964, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at their regular meeting held on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. And those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. And our adjournment for tonight and the final adjournment of this council. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor
I'll move it.
Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that council does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 at 7:23 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.